Hey guys, here's a quick introduction to your suspense literary analysis. So your prompt is that you've read two short stories. Which of the two is more suspenseful? So we're talking about the judge's house and we're talking about the landlady. You're going to use those elements of suspense that we took notes on to determine which author does a better job of creating suspense. So those elements of suspense were uncertainty, intensity, close calls, details, setting, mood, and tone. You have those notes on the document that you guys already took all your notes on. The top part of your graphic organizer is the first part you're going to do. You need to pick the three most suspenseful moments that are going to convince your reader which of the two stories is more suspenseful. So which top three really show how the story is suspenseful. And then also remember to identify which element of suspense you're focusing on. So if it's tone, then identify this is tone and then put the piece of evidence. Also, it would be best to have three different elements of suspense, not three of the same. You don't want three pieces of tone just to show a variety and to show that the author really used multiple ways to convince the reader. So for your introduction, you're going to want to start with writing your claim. And remember, you want to compare which story is more suspenseful. So you would say something, a very simple example would be, the landlady is more suspenseful because then the judge's house because the author does blank, blank, and blank. Something along those lines. Then you can write your hook and your bridge. Remember, our hook, we want to grab our reader's attention. You could do something about suspense and how it engages a reader. And then the bridge, we're connecting the claim to the hook. Remember, no I, me, we, us, you, those sort of words in our claims or, to be honest, in our paper at all. But really, especially, you don't want to say I think blah, 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 because it's not as convincing to the reader as when we say this is a fact. Body paragraphs. This is the setup. You guys have seen this before. We did the exact same ones when we did our example with Tom Sawyer and Abuela. So you guys kind of know this, but I'm just going to briefly go over. You're going to start with why was the story suspenseful, evidence from the story directly. Remember, we want to use different types of introductions, not always according to the story. If you need ideas for that, go ahead and look back at the other literary analysis we did with Tom Sawyer and Abuela because we had a lot of different ones in there. Transition, where you're connecting the two pieces of evidence, another piece of evidence, and then that ending elaboration is really the big meaty part of this paragraph where you're really going to show that you understand how suspense is created using these strategies and how the author really used it to give a good description for suspense. You want to start body paragraph 1 with your less suspenseful story, and then body paragraph 2 is going to be your more suspenseful story. For the conclusion, you want to restate which strategies of the suspense the less successful story had, and then the more successful story. And then the conclusion is really, really, really like the most important part of your paper. So restate the claim, but really reiterate to your readers which one's more suspenseful and why. And this is like where you're really showing that you understand the literary analysis piece. So really focus on this last conclusion piece and really elaborating there. If you're struggling, some ideas, since I will not be there, but I will be there on Friday. Use your resources. We have our practice literary analysis on Google Classroom. Please, please, please look back at that. That's what that was for, to help you guys write this one. You can always ask a neighbor if you're struggling, but again, I want you to stay focused on what you're doing. So if you do ask a neighbor, talk about it for a minute, but come back to where you need to be. And then also you can ask the sub if you need help as well. Finally, just real quick timeline for you guys. We will be working on this today. Tomorrow I will be there, and then on Monday, and that's it. So you really need to use your time appropriately. The assignment will be due on Tuesday so that I can get it graded and give you guys time to redo it if you need to. So really, really use your time wisely and effectively today. And I will be checking in, especially on claims and stuff tomorrow, first thing when we get to class. So have a good class, work hard, and I will see you all tomorrow.